Hi, welcome to Stretch and Release. I'm Coach Wade, and today we're going to be stretching in an office. This is my office. Got a nice desk here. Someone stole my computer, but that's okay. So we're going to do a lot of stretches in a chair. We're going to do a couple on the floor and a couple using the desk here. So if you happen to be in this environment, this would work awesome for you. If you happen to be in a little different environment, these are all things that you can do in any seated position. You can do it on the couch. You could do it if you're in our group exercise room on the stage or on a step. So all of these should be good options for you. Before we start, I have a few announcements for you. Our 12-15 classes for the week are a wellness chat with Megan on Wednesday, and you'll have core with Megan on Friday. So you get some abs in. It's a 10-minute ab class. It should be awesome. She's told me a little bit about it, so I'm excited to do that with you guys. Today, we're going to start off with a neck stretch. So we have a few different options for neck stretches. The first one is going to be a little bit more focused on the traps. So what you'll do with your hand is you'll hold on to the bottom of your seat, or if you happen to not be at a desk, you can place that under your butt in a seated position, and you're going to let that shoulder kind of come away from you a little bit without pulling or yanking. You'll just get a little separation there, and you're slowly going to turn your head to the opposite side. And as you do that with your shoulder getting pulled down just slightly, you should feel your scapula is kind of down and back. You'll feel that stretch all through the neck and the traps here. So right here should be your big focus on this stretch. And this is an area where a lot of people will get tightness in a desk environment. A lot of people will be in this rounded forwards position. So this is a good chance to kind of stretch that out from where you're normally sitting. Go ahead and do that opposite side. Letting that kind of pull down. Your shoulder should be down and back, with your hand just under your chair, and then slowly tilt your head to that side. So as you tilt your head, you're going to want your chin tucked in a little bit, and your head ideally still looking straight ahead, straight off to the side. So, doing good, keep that up. Each one is about 20 to 30 seconds, and then let that relax. Our next stretch here is going to focus a little bit more of the sternocleidomastoid. So what you will do is look straight ahead, tilt your head to the side, and then slowly look up. And you'll feel that a little bit more here in the front. So again, in that seated position, a lot of times your head is forward looking at your computer, so this gets tense and tight. So now you're taking a chance to go to the front, or go to the side, and then look up. And you should be feeling that stretch right here, kind of the neck muscle in the front of the body. And then switch sides for that. Look into the opposite side, and then look up slightly. And about 20 to 30 seconds in each of these stretches. Today's stretch class is a little bit more gentle than some of the ones that we've had in the past and some of the ones we'll have in the future. Today is focused a lot on neck, chest, a little bit through the hips, but it's not quite as aggressive as some of the other ones. So if you're looking for an aggressive stretch class, tune in next week. That'll definitely be a good one. Next is a chest stretch. You'll place your hand on your desk with your shoulder down and back, opening up your chest, and then you'll tilt your body over off to the side, just like that. And a lot of times I'm looking the opposite way. I'm looking towards my shoulder, just so you can see me on camera. You'll usually want to turn your head away from your body as well. So keep doing that stretch, feeling it ideally right through here in the chest. If you're feeling too much in your shoulder, a lot of times it means you're pushing through the top of your hand. Maybe your shoulder is raised up a little bit, or not quite back, and it's back and down. So back and down, push through the bottom part of your hand. Another 5 seconds here, and then switch sides. And again, if you're not feeling it right here through the chest, there's a good chance that your hand is tilted that way, or that your shoulder is kind of coming up a little bit or rounding. So keep that shoulder down, back, and opening up the chest. You'll feel this through your forearm, through your elbow, all the way up to your shoulder, and then through your chest. But typically when you're doing this stretch, the chest is your big target. That chest in any desk work or in a desk situation is always folded forward, so now's your chance to try and counterbalance a lot of that. Our next stretch is a hip stretch. So in a desk situation, a lot of times your hips are in this position. They're not necessarily active or fired, so they have a tendency to get not used as much. So right now you are crossing your leg over, and you're looking to stretch right here on the outside of the hip. You're trying to bring that foot in fairly close, and if you're not feeling that stretch here right now, you can start slowly leaning forward and you'll feel that stretch get a little bit more intense. The further you lean forward, the more intense it is. One common thing that people will do wrong in this stretch is pull their leg in close and then just, without thinking about the rest of their body, just kind of fall forward. You want to be thinking about staying tall. Even just lengthening your spine and making your head tall, you should feel that stretch get a little more intense. So tight stomach, slowly leaning forward, hinging at the hips, and not just sinking down. So if you're hinging at the hips and coming forward, you'll feel that stretch in that right spot, right there through the glutes and those muscles in your hip. Go ahead and switch sides. This is an easy one to do at home on the couch. It's an easy one to do at your desk. If you happen to be at your desk right now, this is something you could do 2 or 3 times today if you wanted to. A lot of people cross their legs at work. This is just adding another little dimension to it. Slowly hinging forward and paying close attention to your stomach, your hips, making sure everything is tight. You're properly hinging forward and then setting that back down. So our next stretch is going to be focused on the upper body again. I'm going to move that chair out of the way. Might even move my desk a little bit so you can see me on camera. But hands right on top of that. You'll probably have to come down just a little bit. I'm on my knees, and my goal is to lower my head just about as low as I can, coming down, down, down. And I'm doing a lat stretch right now, so my arms are going overhead. You guys should definitely feel that through the chest and through the lats. You're trying to open up all of this and all of this right now. If you want to do this from the hands, you'll get more of a stretch through your forearms. You can also do this through the elbows, which can sometimes target the lats a little bit better. But you can just use your desk to place those hands or those elbows on. And again, on this one, you want to pay attention to your stomach and your hips. A common tendency on this, and I actually started to do it, which is why I brought up, is to arch your back a little bit. You want to make sure that your stomach is tight and you're focusing the tension of that stretch in the right spot. So keeping that stomach tight and the hips tight helps keep the tension of that stretch through the lats. Give that another 5 seconds or so. And then since you're already on the ground, we'll move into a lunge stretch next. This is primarily targeting the hip flexors. This is one of my favorite stretches, especially if you happen to spend a lot of time sitting. In a seated position, I'll go ahead and show you here. Hip flexors are bent in. They're always in this crunched in position. You very rarely have time to let them extend out, which you would in a standing position. So in this lunge stretch, you're letting this hip flexor extend out, keeping your hips tight, your head tall, slowly pushing that weight forward. You should be very balanced there, but focusing that on the hip flexor, on that leg that's behind. And then a common tendency on this is to fold forward, which takes pressure out of the hip flexor. So you want to pay a lot of attention not to do that. And a lot of other people will kind of open up to the side, which also takes pressure out of that. So right now your biggest focus is right here in the hips. So try and keep all that focus there. Your body should be pointed straight ahead. Your hips are in the same direction as your knee. And then slowly switch directions. So hips and knee all facing the same way. Trying not to tilt over to the side or bend forward. Keeping your core strong and tight. Trying to engage your core right now. A lot of times in that desk, you're spending a lot of time not engaging your core. This might feel a little different. And these are all fairly easy stretches to do, but there's a lot of different things that can start to add some complicated aspects to them. So if you're paying attention to all those different things, that'll make this stretch feel a little bit better for you. All right. And our final thing we're doing here, might need to move this table a little more. And for this one, you may want to have a prop or two. So a pillow works. I have a foam roller and a block. You can use a coat, maybe a couple shirts that you have laying around, anything that's a little bit padded. You can use pillows, blankets, all that kind of stuff. But you have a choice whether you want to work on your chest on this one, opening up your chest, helping your shoulders kind of sit back a little bit more instead of round forward, or help your hip flexors. So this next one is a very passive stretch, but we're gonna hang out here for about 2 to 3 minutes. So if you're choosing the hip flexors, what you'll do is you will place that directly right above the butt, right below the small of your back. Your hip flexors, you can kind of feel where they indent right there. you want to be pretty much right on the opposite side. So the indent's right there. You want to keep that block right above the butt in this position, not too raised. If you're choosing chest, you'll want to place this right between your shoulder blades with your chest out. You'll feel it open up just a little bit. So as you lay down, you can choose hips or you can choose chest. Right now I am going to choose hips, and then I'll switch it partway through. So I'm placing that right above my butt, right below the small of my back, and I'm letting myself be long, trying to get this a little extra extended. And you're just hanging out here for 2 to 3 minutes. So right now you're trying to relax, allow your calves to sink down into the ground, allow your feet to sink down into the ground, and also allow your chest and your back to sink down. And you'll find that this is a little bit more extended than a standing position. You spend a lot of time sitting, flexing those hip flexors, so now's your chance to let them extend and kind of counterbalance a lot of that work you do in that seated position. If you are choosing back and stretching out the chest, you'll have that between your shoulder blades. You'll have your palms up, your shoulders down and back, chest relaxed. And I like to have one of these for my head as well, or if you have a pillow, it can be between your back and your head. But the goal is that your chest is the highest part of your body, your shoulders are sinking down in, and it's just passively stretching your chest here. So in both positions, it's not very extreme, but spending 2 to 5 minutes in each one, you'll definitely start to notice that your body isn't used to being in those positions. You'll feel it kind of passively open, and there are great ways to counterbalance daily life where you're hunched forward like this, just spending an hour contracting your chest, or in that seated position spending sometimes 6 or 7 hours, depending on what your job is, with your hip flexors all tensed up. So 5 minutes compared to 7 hours, probably not quite enough. So you could do this a couple times a day, or you could try and work on standing up a little bit more. I know my Apple Watch tells me, hey, you've been sitting too long, if I've been sitting too long, so that's one way to help that too. But I'm glad you guys could join me. If you have time, I'd recommend probably just 1 more minute in that passive stretch, but it was great to have you. Feel free to tune in next week, be a little bit more aggressive. We'll do some foam rolling and that kind of stuff, but all right, have a good day. Bye.